caregiver feels heavier than you expected, especially at this stage of your life, there's a reason for that. Caregiving after 50 isn't just about taking care of your aging parent. It's much more involved than that. You have all sorts of other responsibilities, and you have the responsibility of caring for your parent. But that's just not like you're an employee at a care facility and you're just objectively going about your role of caregiver. No, you have a past, you have a history, and those things play a pretty serious role in your caregiver journey. And if you're finding yourself thinking, why is this so hard? It's not because you're failing. It's not because you're weak. It's because you're figuring out how to navigate this really complex role. One of the hardest shifts as you move into this caregiver role with your parent is sort of this quiet role reversal. Your parents have always taken care of you, and it kind of creeps in that suddenly you're the one that is taking care of them. And the deeper you get into the role, the bigger that shift becomes. And before you know it, you're not really the son or daughter. You're actually in the parent role. You're the one that is helping to make decisions. In some cases, you might be making the decisions and they're not able to help so much. You're the one that's kind of setting limits for your parents. And as they struggle to maintain their independence, we can really sort of lock horns. So it really is a challenge. And as you go through this with your parent and you realize that shift, that change, you start to feel guilty about making the decisions and maybe not asking them for the help less and less. And then you start to feel some sadness because you realize that they aren't your mother or father as they used to be. They're different, and you've taken over the role. And it's okay to feel that sadness. It's actually natural, and it might be a little shocking to you. I know I have many clients come to me in my Caregivers Thriving membership. That's one of the things we work on is dealing with that shift. It really becomes emotionally heavy. Another reason that caregiving for our parent after 50 can be so challenging is we have some sibling dynamics, right? You know, we might all be adults, but those sort of sibling relationships don't always magically disappear. As a matter of fact, when you're caregiving for your parent, it can be very easy to fall back into the kind of roles you had with your brothers and sisters that you did when you were kids. I mean, I don't know about you, but every time we would visit my parents, especially like on holidays and things, if more of us came home, I have two older brothers, and if we came home and it was really casual, let's say we're having like a quick lunch together or something, did you sit at the same seat at the table that you used to sit at when you were kids? I know we did. And I mean, it's like unstated. It just kind of happens. Well, it's the same thing with caregiving. You're in there, you might be in your family home, and you're dealing with things with your parents, and those rules come back around. And it can be really challenging. I mean, you can have feelings of frustration and anger and resentment from things that happened in the past. You might be judging how much are they helping to take care, who's really stepping up and who you think should be stepping up and who's spending the time and who's not spending the time. All of that comes to the surface, and all of that makes caregiving after 50 a challenge when you're dealing especially with your parents. But not only do those things come from the past from your siblings, but another challenge in caring for your parents is the past history with your parents. Our parents all had expectations for us. Some we met, some maybe we didn't meet, some that they might still bring up. I mean, yeah, sorry. Just taking a moment because I'm thinking of those things for myself, right? So, they're fighting for their independence. They know that they can't do as much for themselves as they had in the past. They're angry about it. And sometimes they lash out. Who are they going to lash out at? First, they're going to lash out at their primary caregiver, whoever that is. And that might be you. That might be why you're here today listening to this video. And when they lash out like that, they take those things that they know are going to bite at you, and they use them. And those things might come from the past, right? The past history, maybe things that are unresolved. And you think to yourself, here I am away from my own family to take care of you, and this is the way you act. That can be really, really tough. So many of my clients come to me as we work through those past history relationships, right? Struggles, conflicts that we've had. That's what makes caregiving after 50 really challenging, because we have that baggage, that emotional baggage. But you can get through it if you make the decision for why you've decided to care for your loved one, right? What's your reason? And if you're not sure of what that why is, I would be really glad and happy to work with you to help you figure it out. Because just saying you have to might not really be the answer for you being the primary caretaker. But that all is folded up in this challenge of caring after 50. All of this overlaps with our adult lives, right? If we're going to talk about being the child in this relationship who has to become the parent, we also have our own responsibilities. We have our own jobs, our responsibilities. We might have our own children and all of the responsibilities that come with them, right? You've heard of the sandwich situation. You've heard of the sandwich generation, right? That's what makes it challenging. How do you juggle it all? Well, I can help you learn how to juggle it all. We talk about these responsibilities we have in caring for our aging parent, but those responsibilities overlap with our own responsibilities with our own families, our own lives, right? We have children, we have responsibilities, we have organizations we belong to, maybe we have church responsibilities, and our job. And all of that becomes so much heavier and so much more complex when we step up to care for our aging parent. It really becomes complex, and you feel like you're being pulled in different directions and you're not sure where to go. I mean, you feel like you're spinning out of control. And when you get frustrated with your loved one because they're not cooperating or they're not listening to you or taking your advice, or you help them with something and they go and they do the opposite, and you think to yourself, I've stepped away from doing this with my family or this with my job to come and be here and to help you, and this is the way you treat me? Wow, that's like hard stuff when you start thinking about resentment. And I'm here to tell you that it's natural, but that doesn't make it any easier. It's still what you have to go through. That's what makes caregiving after 50 so challenging. And you might be in a situation with maybe your family isn't home with you. Maybe you're empty nesting and you have all of those emotions about moving your own child out of the nest. And that might bring some grief for you. But then there's this sort of expectation of, ooh, what can I do now that I'm not tied down with the kids? And now you're caregiving for your loved one, and now you feel tied down in a different way, right? All of this is just like intermingled together. No wonder it feels so hard. So, all of these feelings that we've talked about here, and especially the ones that are feeling more negative and less compassionate, aren't because you don't love your parents. Please understand that. These emotions are natural, and all caregivers go through them. And caregiving after 50 is like a life transition. It really is. It's not just a task, because you've probably already found that you're doing more than just helping out by making a meal or driving them to the grocery store. You're becoming really involved, and you get to make the choice if that's how involved you want to become. And if you're not sure about if that choice is the right one for you, I'd be really happy to talk with you about it. I have down in my show notes, I have a free support session that you can just sign up and we can talk. But this journey is asking you, to take responsibility. It's asking you to manage tasks in a compassionate way, and that's always a learning journey. And it's asking you to care for others, but also you need to be caring for yourself. And that's not selfishness in this, that's survival to get through this change in relationship, setting things of your history behind so that you can move forward and truly be a compassionate caregiver for your loved one, but also compassionate for yourself, and understanding that other responsibilities in your life might look a little different or might be sort of ranked a little differently at this time. Please know that you're not alone. And, if this really feels like it resonates with you, I encourage you to subscribe to my channel, and you can keep getting these videos as I keep posting them. But also, I want you to check out the show notes, because there's things in there that might help you. An ER confidence bag. If you've hit that point, heading to the ER, I have some things there that can help you out when, you're called in the middle of the night, or you make the decision in the middle of the night that maybe they need to be seen at the emergency room. I have some things to help you there. If you've suddenly taken over the paperwork and you've started to do bills and look at healthcare and help with things around the house, and you're checking investments and those kinds of things for your loved one, I have a care partner organizer, because all of that paperwork creeps onto your desk with your own bills. And let me tell you, I have a video coming up about what happens when my paperwork meshed with my parents' paperwork, because it was quite a mistake. And that's what this is about. That's why I'm here. I want to show you my mistakes so you don't have to make them. I want to shorten that learning curve for you. So if this sounds good to you, please subscribe. Please keep coming back. And I'm here with this caregiver journey with you. Take care, my friend.